Do you ever feel like you're playing a game you can't win? You follow all the rules, you show up early, you stay late, you put in the work, you do everything right, but then you look over and you see someone else, someone who just showed up, get the exact same reward, the same recognition, the same success, and this feeling ignites in your gut. It's a hot, burning, deeply uncomfortable feeling. It's the feeling of being cheated, of unfairness. That feeling is exhausting, and our culture's only answer is to just hustle harder, to grind more, to somehow get ahead of the curve. But what if that feeling isn't a motivator? What if it's a trap? A 2,000-year-old story reveals that our obsession with fairness and earning our worth is the very thing keeping us from the peace we're so desperately trying to find. Let's be honest. For many of us, life feels like a giant, invisible scoreboard. From the moment we get our first grades, to our first job, to the curated perfection we see on social media, we are taught to measure, to compare, to quantify our value. We live in the age of the hustle, where burnout is a badge of honor and "I'm so busy" is a status symbol. We've internalized this belief that our worth is transactional. It must be earned. It's a direct deposit that only comes after we've put in the hours. This creates a specific kind of anxiety, doesn't it? It's the anxiety of the first worker. It's the pressure to build the perfect persona, the Jungian term for the social mask we wear to fit into the world. Our persona is the diligent student, the reliable employee, the perfect partner, the one who has it all together. It's the version of us that agrees to the contract, that understands the rules. If I do X, I will receive Y. And this works, for a while. It gives us structure, but it's incredibly fragile. The moment the equation breaks, the moment we see someone get Y without doing X, our persona cracks. And through that crack, something dark and uncomfortable emerges. The shadow. That burning feeling of unfairness. That's our shadow talking. It's the envy, the resentment, the bitterness that we try so hard to repress because it doesn't fit our persona as a good, hard-working person. This internal conflict, this war between the mask we wear and the shadow it casts, is a primary engine of millennial anxiety, depression, and that feeling of being perpetually burned out. We're told to suppress this shadow, to ignore the envy. But what if the path to real peace, to a more resilient sense of self, isn't about suppressing the shadow, but about understanding its message? A very old story holds the key. The story is a parable told by a wandering sage, and it's about workers in a vineyard. It comes from the Gospel of Matthew, but you don't need to be religious to unlock its profound psychological wisdom. It begins, as these things often do, at the crack of dawn. A landowner goes to the marketplace to hire laborers. He finds a group of eager workers. They agree on the standard, fair daily wage, and he sends them into his vineyard. These are our first workers. They are the embodiment of the persona. They understand the deal. They are responsible, diligent, and secure in their contract. They are us on our best day. At 9 o'clock, the landowner goes back and sees more people standing around, idle. He says to them, "You too go into my vineyard, and I will give you what is just." No contract is signed, just a promise of fairness. They go. He does the same thing at noon, and again at 3. Then, at 5 o'clock, with only about an hour of daylight left, he goes out one last time. He finds a few people lingering and asks them, "Why do you stand here idle all day?" Their answer is heartbreakingly relevant to anyone who's ever felt overlooked or left behind. They say, "Because no one has hired us. There's no laziness here, just a lack of opportunity." So the landowner says, "You too go into my vineyard." Now, evening comes. It's payday. This is the moment the cosmic scoreboard is supposed to be balanced. The foreman is told to pay everyone, but in a strange order. starting with the last ones hired and ending with the first. So the 5 o'clock workers, the ones who worked for a single hour, come up, and they each receive a full day's wage. Imagine the buzz in the crowd, a ripple of shock and excitement. Then, the moment of truth. The first workers, the ones who were there since dawn, who bore the full burden of the day and the scorching heat, come forward. They saw what the last guys got, and their logic, their transactional persona, is buzzing with anticipation. If the 1 hour guys got a full day's pay, they think, surely we will receive more. It's a perfectly reasonable assumption based on the rules of our world. But they don't. Each one receives the exact same wage they had originally agreed to. The standard, daily wage. And they snap. The persona shatters, and the shadow erupts. They begin to grumble, not because they were cheated, but because of the landowner's generosity to others. They say, "These last ones worked only 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us, who bore the day's burden and the heat." This is the key to the entire story. Their complaint isn't about their own wage. It's about the wage of others. Their sense of worth was not located in their own agreement, but in being more than someone else. Their value was relative, not absolute. The landowner's reply is where the psychological wisdom truly crystallizes. He doesn't argue. He gently says, "My friend, I am not cheating you. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what is yours and go." He's holding the persona to its own terms. He's saying, "Our deal is our deal. It's intact." Then he delivers the line that shatters the transactional mindset. "What if I wish to give this last one the same as you? Are you envious because I am generous?" In that single question, he reframes the entire universe. He steps outside the logic of earning, deserving, and fairness, and into the logic of grace, sovereignty, and abundance. From a Jungian perspective, the landowner is a symbol of the self. The self is the totality of our psyche, the organizing principle that includes both our conscious persona and our unconscious shadow. It operates on a much deeper, more mysterious logic than our conscious ego. While our ego, our persona, is obsessed with fairness, comparison, and scorekeeping, the self is concerned with one thing: wholeness. The wage in this story isn't money. It's grace. It's meaning. It's a sense of worth. And what the parable reveals is that the self distributes this wage not based on merit, but based on need. The person who shows up to life at the last hour, feeling they have nothing to offer, is just as worthy of grace as the person who has been toiling all day. The grumbling of the first workers is the cry of the ego when it confronts this radical, non-transactional reality. It's the shadow of our merit-based society, the part of us that secretly believes our suffering should buy us a higher status. Confronting this shadow is a crucial part of what Jung called individuation, the journey to becoming a whole, integrated person. It means withdrawing our projections of unfairness from the world and recognizing that envy is a signal about our own inner state. It's a sign that we have pegged our self-worth to an external, comparative scale. So how do we apply this ancient wisdom to our modern, burned-out lives? How do we escape the toxic cycle of comparison and transactional worth? First, we must learn to recognize the landowner's voice. This is the voice of the self. It's the part of you that is not transactional. It's the part that says your worth is inherent, not earned. It's the quiet voice beneath the loud, anxious clamor of your persona. You don't have to earn your right to rest. You don't have to deserve a moment of peace. You don't have to justify your existence through productivity. The wage of being is given freely. Second, we must learn to have compassion for our own grumbling. When you feel that hot sting of envy, that "it's not fair" feeling, don't shame yourself. Don't push it back into the shadow. Acknowledge it. Say, "Ah, there is my inner first worker. There is the part of me that is scared, the part that has been taught its worth is measured by being better than someone else." In that moment of compassionate awareness, the shadow loses its power. By observing it, you are no longer possessed by it. This is the heart of shadow integration. Third, we must consciously re-examine our contracts. The first workers were not cheated. They were trapped by the limitations of their own agreement. What are the unconscious agreements you've made about your own life? If I achieve this title, then I'll be happy. If I make this much money, then I'll feel secure. If I get validation from this person, then I'll know I'm worthy. This parable invites us to see the bankruptcy of this if-then logic when it comes to our core worth. The radical, uplifting message of this story is that you can get off the treadmill. You can opt out of the great, exhausting game of comparison. Your value is not determined by when you showed up, whether that's in your career, in your healing journey, in finding a relationship, or in discovering your purpose. It doesn't matter if you are a first-hour worker or a last-hour worker. The universe, the self, God, whatever you want to call that deep, organizing principle of life, is not a transactional employer. It is a radically generous landowner, and its generosity is not a limited resource that you have to fight for. The peace given to another does not diminish the peace available to you. The final line of the story is, "Thus the last will be first, and the first will be last." This isn't about a literal reversal of status. It's a psychological one. Those who are first in their ego, obsessed with their rank, their merit, their place in line, are last to experience the freedom of grace. And those who are last in their ego, humble, showing up as they are, without claim or demand, are the first to receive it. So the invitation for us today is this: lay down the burden of being the first worker. Stop keeping score. Your worth was established before you ever entered the vineyard. Take your wage, the inherent, unearnable gift of your own being, and go in peace.